In the US, 1 in 10 adults falls victim to a scam or fraud yearly, with losses amounting to billions of dollars collectively. We will talk about some pretty weird and strange stuff, so enjoy, because we've compiled 8 tiers with more than 62 scams, frauds, and techniques that happened throughout history. By the way, I would greatly appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to our channel, as creating this video took a lot of effort and work. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get right into it. Starting with Tier 1, we have Sam Bankman-Fried. In the fast-paced world of cryptocurrency, huge amounts of money can be made or lost in the blink of an eye. Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty of 7 counts of money laundering and fraud. Bankman-Fried is expected to face a sentence lasting decades in jail, with a maximum sentence of 110 years. But first of all, let's get back to what he actually did. Back in 2019, Sam Bankman-Fried founded FTX, a company that ran one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Bankman-Fried also founded Alameda Research, a hedge fund that invested in cryptocurrencies and crypto companies. In the traditional financial sector, these two companies would be entirely separate firms, or at least have firewalls in place to avoid conflicts of interest. But in early November 2022, news outlets reported that a significant proportion of Alameda's assets were a type of cryptocurrency released by FTX itself. A few days later, news broke that FTX had allegedly been loaning customer assets to Alameda for risky trades without customers' consent. As a result, criminal and regulatory investigators began questioning FTX for potentially violating securities law. These two pieces of news led to a bank run on FTX, and soon afterward, FTX, Alameda Research, and 130 other affiliated companies filed for bankruptcy. Bernie Madoff created one of the most well-known Ponzi schemes in history. He founded the Wall Street firm Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, LLC, in 1960, which became the basis of his scam. Madoff promised high returns to investors through a strategy that he claimed involved investing in stocks. But in reality, he was using new investors' money to pay returns to earlier investors, without doing any legitimate trading activity. Madoff's scheme went undetected for years, mainly due to his reputation in the financial industry and the trust he built with his clients. However, in the financial crisis of 2008, clients began to withdraw their investments, and Madoff could no longer sustain the scheme. In December 2008, he confessed to his sons that his investment business was a massive Ponzi scheme, estimated to be worth billions of dollars. In March 2009, Bernie Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, one of the harshest penalties ever given for financial fraud. Enron Corporation, involving accounting fraud and corporate corruption, once considered one of the largest and most innovative companies in the United States, collapsed in 2001. The scandal was about purposely wrong accounting practices, which involved hiding debt off the company's balance sheet. Enron's executives manipulated financial statements to present a much healthier financial picture than was the reality. This way, he deceived investors and shareholders. The company's downfall led to thousands of job losses, huge financial losses for investors, and the collapse of one of the largest energy companies in the world at the time. The Nigerian prince scam, also known as the 419 scam, is a type of email scam where the sender typically claims to be a Nigerian prince or a person of high stature who needs help transferring a large sum of money out of their country. The scammer promises the victim a big reward in return for assisting with the transfer of funds, saying various reasons for needing assistance, such as political instability, inheritance issues, or legal complications. To proceed with the transaction, the scammer usually requests the victim's personal information, bank account details, or upfront payment to cover fees, taxes, or other expenses related to the transfer. However, once the victim provides the requested information or payment, the scammer typically disappears, leaving the victim defrauded and with no way to recover their losses. Scientology is being called a religion, but actually is more of a profitable business. Many people sued the church and won the case, while many have lost. For example, the German government does not recognize Scientology as a religion. Rather, it views it as an abusive business, masquerading as a religion, and believes that it pursues political goals. Most members say that the cult puts immense pressure on people if they try to leave, and that it splits up families and kills people. Many people also committed suicide because of the so-called religion. Charles Ponzi's name became synonymous with the type of fraudulent investment scheme he had created. In the early 20th century, Ponzi promised investors high returns with little to no risk through what he claimed were arbitrage opportunities involving international reply coupons for postage stamps. However, rather than investing the money as promised, Ponzi used funds from new investors to pay returns to earlier investors. Ponzi's scheme collapsed in 1920, resulting in huge financial losses for many investors, and ultimately leading to his arrest and imprisonment. I think we've all heard of this scheme at least once. Pyramid schemes are a pretty common form of scams. Individuals are promised high returns for recruiting others to join the scheme rather than from any legitimate investment or sale of products or services. In the scheme, people typically make an initial investment and are then encouraged to recruit others to also invest. As new investors join, they are required to pay fees or purchase products, with a portion of these proceeds going to the recruiter and higher-level participants. While it involves the sale of a product, service, or course, the main focus lies on recruiting new investors that continue the exponential growth. Eventually, as recruitment slows down or stops, the scheme falls apart, leaving the majority of participants with losses. Pyramid schemes are unsustainable because they require exponential growth to continue functioning, which is not possible in the long term. Fake tech support scams are about scammers impersonating technical support representatives from big companies and brands like Microsoft, Apple, or antivirus software. They often contact the victim via phone calls, pop-up messages on websites, or emails. The scam consists of these stages. The scammer reaches out to the victim, claiming their computer has been infected with a virus or is experiencing technical issues. Using language that intimidates the victim, the scammer creates urgency and fear, warning the victim that their personal information is at risk, or their computer will crash. The victims end up paying money to get the virus off their computer, and they will be unable to get the money back. Bottled water scams can take various forms, but one common type involves false claims about the quality or source of the water. Here's how it works in most cases. Scammers market bottled water with labels that falsely claim it comes from pristine or exotic sources, saying that it has superior quality or health benefits. In reality, the water is just sourced from their local water supply or treated tap water. The Bogdanoff brothers, Igor and Grichka Bogdanoff, are French television producers, writers, and scientific essayists. They are known for their appearance, which has led to speculation and internet memes about their alleged involvement in various conspiracy theories. The Bogdanoff brothers have backgrounds in mathematics and theoretical physics, and they have hosted science-related television programs in France. However, they have also been criticized for promoting controversial and speculative ideas, particularly in the realm of theoretical physics, where they have proposed theories that many mainstream scientists consider fringe or lacking in evidence. In the early 2000s, the Bogdanoff brothers were involved in a scandal known as the Bogdanoff Affair. They submitted a series of papers to scientific journals proposing new theories in theoretical physics, but these papers were criticized for being overly speculative and lacking scientific evidence. Some physicists accused them of using their media influence to bypass the normal review process. Bitconnect was a cryptocurrency investment scheme that operated from 2016 to early 2018. It promised investors high returns through a lending program and a proprietary trading bot. However, Bitconnect's business model had characteristics of a Ponzi scheme, relying on new investor funds to pay returns to existing investors. Bitconnect attracted them through their aggressive marketing tactics and promises of guaranteed returns, often through referral programs that incentivized participants to recruit others. The scheme collapsed in January 2018, following cease and desist orders from several U.S. state securities regulators and the filing of a lawsuit by the Texas Securities Commissioner. Scammers promote their fake Nitro code generators through social media, online forums, or websites, tempting you with offers of free Discord Nitro subscriptions. They also use testimonials or claims of legitimacy to lure you in. To access the supposed free Nitro codes, you will have to complete surveys or other tasks. These surveys then ask for personal information, such as email addresses, phone numbers, or demographic details, which scammers can then use for further fraudulent activities or sell to third parties. Some fake Nitro code generators also prompt you to download and install certain apps or software in exchange for Nitro codes. These downloads contain malware, adware, or other malicious software that can compromise your devices or personal information. Microtransaction scams appear in various ways on digital platforms like mobile apps, video games, or online services. Scammers use advertising to get you into making frequent small purchases, promising exclusive rewards or benefits that turn out to be non-existent or underwhelming. Some scams involve hidden costs or undisclosed fees, making people believe they're playing for free until they realize they need to spend money to progress. Additionally, unauthorized charges or billing fraud can occur when scammers obtain your payment information and make purchases without consent. Phishing is one of the most common scam forms. Scammers attempt to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information, such as usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, or other personal data. These scams typically involve emails, text messages, or websites, such as from banks, social media platforms, or online services. They use many different tactics to appear convincing and legitimate. For example, scammers often use official-looking logos, email addresses, or website designs to create the illusion of authenticity. They also use urgency or fear tactics, such as warning of account suspension or security breaches, to pressure users into responding quickly without verifying the legitimacy of the communication. Upon a user's choice, BonziBuddy would share jokes and facts, manage downloads, sing songs, and talk. BonziBuddy was described as spyware and adware and discontinued in 2004 after the company behind it faced lawsuits regarding the software and was ordered to pay fines. As spyware, it secretly collected user data, including browsing habits, search history, and personal information, without clear disclosure or user consent. This data could be used for targeted advertising or other purposes, making BonziBuddy a privacy concern for many users. Also, the program was very difficult to remove from your computer, which also made it unwanted software for most users. The Pet Rock was a product created in the 1970s by advertising executive Gary Dahl. Gary Dahl came up with the idea for the Pet Rock as a humorous response to the hassle and responsibility of caring for traditional pets like dogs or cats. The concept was simple: a smooth stone packaged in a cardboard box with air holes and straw, marketed as the perfect low-maintenance pet. Dahl used slogans and humor to get attention. Though it was very simple, the Pet Rock became a cultural phenomenon in the mid-1970s. The product received huge amounts of attention through media and sold millions of units, making Dahl a millionaire practically overnight. In a pump-and-dump scheme, well-known people such as streamers hype up the price of a stock, cryptocurrency, or other asset through misleading statements. The scam typically starts with the promotion of the asset through various channels, such as online forums, social media, or spam emails. They spread false or exaggerated information about the asset's prospects, often claiming significant upcoming developments or partnerships. As interest and excitement is generated among investors, the price of the asset begins to rise rapidly. This creates a sense of urgency and fear of missing out among other potential investors, increasing further demand and pushing the price even higher. Many investors, hoping to have the opportunity to make quick profits, buy into the asset at inflated prices. Once the price reaches a certain level, the organizers of the scam sell off their holdings, which are huge amounts of shares, at a big profit, causing the price to fall rapidly. This sudden selling pressure triggers panic selling among other investors, leading to a rapid decline in the asset's price. Insider trading is a serious offense of securities trading. It happens when people, typically those with access to non-public information about a traded company, use this information to make investment decisions. This non-public information could include details about upcoming earnings reports, mergers and acquisitions, regulatory decisions, or other significant developments that would likely impact the price of the company's securities if known to the public. Those who do insider trading often have access to sensitive information due to their roles within the company, such as executives, employees, or board members. They use this information to buy or sell shares of the company or related companies before the information becomes public knowledge. Stratton Oakmont, a brokerage firm founded by Jordan Belfort and Danny Porish in the late 1980s, gained fame for its smart sales tactics and involvement in securities fraud. Operating out of Long Island, the firm employed brokers who utilized high-pressure boiler room operations to persuade clients to invest in penny stocks. They also made use of the pump-and-dump scheme. Stratton Oakmont's scheme drew the attention of authorities. In 1996, the Securities and Exchange Commission shut down the firm for securities fraud and other violations. Jordan Belfort and other executives were charged with securities fraud and money laundering. Belfort pleaded guilty to these charges, serving 22 months of prison time and paying substantial fines and restitution. The rise and fall of Stratton Oakmont even got its own film, The Wolf of Wall Street. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. Now let's get a bit deeper to Tier 2, starting with fake Mr. Beast ads. The fake Mr. Beast ads scam revolves around advertisements and promotions that mimic the branding of Mr. Beast, also known as Jimmy Donaldson. Mr. Beast's acts of kindness and massive following make him a target for scammers wanting to exploit his viewers' trust for money. Scammers create fake ads or promotions that appear authentic, often promising significant rewards or prizes to participants who engage in the promotion. And let's be honest, I think we all have seen them at least once on YouTube. They are everywhere by now. CSGO Lotto was a controversial online gambling platform that targeted players of the popular video game Counter-Strike, also known as CSGO. The platform allowed users to gamble with in-game items, such as weapon skins, which had real-world value. CSGO Lotto gained a lot of attention due to its association with prominent YouTubers, including Trevor T. Martin, and Tom Pro Syndicate Cassell. These YouTubers promoted CSGO Lotto on their channels, often showcasing their own winnings and encouraging viewers to use the platform. However, they failed to disclose their ownership interests in CSGO Lotto, leading to accusations of deceptive advertising. The controversy surrounding CSGO Lotto intensified when it was revealed that Martin and Cassell had actually been involved in the company behind the scenes, rather than just as supporters. This lack of transparency made viewers outraged, and many people had gambled their money away. Sea monkeys are a type of aquarium pet marketed as a fun and educational product for children. The concept was developed by Harold von Braunhut in the 1950s and gained widespread popularity in the following decades. The sea monkeys product consists of dehydrated brine shrimp eggs packaged in a kit with a water purifier, growth food, and instructions for hatching and caring for the creatures. One issue is the big space between the illustrations and descriptions on the sea monkey packaging and the actual appearance and behavior of the creatures. The sea monkey characters shown in advertisements create the impression of playful, humanoid creatures, while the actual sea monkeys are tiny crustaceans resembling brine shrimp. A lot of people have been disappointed by the level of care and maintenance required to keep sea monkeys healthy. While the product is marketed as a simple and low-maintenance pet, maintaining the proper aquarium conditions and feeding is actually much more time-consuming than expected. Belle Delphine, a social media personality and online influencer known for her provocative content and cosplay, got lots of attention in 2019 for a unique product she offered for sale: Gamer Girl Bath Water. This product consisted of small jars of water collected from baths taken by Belle Delphine. The sale of Belle Delphine's bathwater got a lot of attention and was faced with a mix of curiosity, amusement, and controversy. Some saw it as something humorous, while others looked at it with disgust. The Gamer Girl bathwater quickly sold out, showing the demand and interest it generated among Belle Delphine's fan base. However, the sale of bathwater also faced criticism with concerns about hygiene and health risks, with some questioning the safety and cleanliness of the product. Belle Delphine addressed these concerns by stating that the water was collected in a sterile environment and was not intended for consumption, but rather as a novelty item for display purposes. The 5G Bioshield is a USB stick with a price of $350, marketed as a protective device against the supposed harmful effects of 5G radiation. It gained attention through concerns and conspiracy theories about the health risks associated with 5G technology, which were fueled by misinformation and pseudoscience. The 5G Bioshield claims to use quantum technology to neutralize the effects of electromagnetic radiation from 5G networks and other sources. It is promoted as a USB stick or small device that can be plugged into electronic devices to create a protective field around the user, shielding them from the supposed dangers of 5G radiation. Experts have claimed it as a scam and labeled it as a $6 USB stick with a sticker on it. In June 2020, the UK's Trading Standards Authority issued a warning about the 5G Bioshield, labeling it as a scam and advising consumers not to purchase or use the product. Theranos was a biomedical company founded by Elizabeth Holmes in 2003 to revolutionize the healthcare industry by developing a device that could perform a wide range of diagnostic tests using just a few drops of blood from a finger prick. Holmes spoke of Theranos's technology as groundbreaking and claimed that it could provide fast, accurate, and low-cost blood tests, making healthcare more accessible and efficient. The company attracted a lot of investors, reaching a peak valuation of $10 billion. However, in 2015, investigative reports by journalists and regulatory revealed serious concerns about the accuracy and reliability of Theranos' technology. It became clear that the company had completely exaggerated its capabilities and misled investors, regulators, and the public about the effectiveness of its devices. Theranos' downfall was mainly caused by revelations of whistleblowers and investigations by agencies, including the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The company faced numerous lawsuits, leading to its destruction. In 2018, the owners were charged with massive fraud, and Holmes was accused of deceiving investors, patients, and doctors. The free Robux scam is a scheme that targets players of the game Roblox, promising them the free in-game currency, Robux. Robux is used within the Roblox platform to purchase virtual items, accessories, and other enhancements for players' avatars or experiences. Scammers employ various tactics to get players into the free Robux scam, often through fake websites, social media posts, or YouTube videos. However, the promised Robux never materializes, and players who fall for the scam end up wasting their time. Psychic surgery is a controversial practice that mainly got attention in the 20th century, particularly in the Philippines and Brazil. It involves the ability of individuals known as psychic surgeons to perform surgical procedures without the use of traditional medical instruments or anesthesia. During a psychic surgery session, the practitioner claims to enter a trance-like state and channel healing energies or spirits to diagnose and treat issues within the patient's body. Using their hands or seemingly supernatural abilities, they claim to remove tumors, cysts, or other abnormalities from the patient's body, often with dramatic gestures. However, investigations and studies have repeatedly debunked psychic surgery as a scam. Skeptics and medical professionals argue that what appears to be surgery is a form of sleight of hand, deception, and manipulation. Victims are tricked into paying money up front for receiving a larger sum of money, a prize, or some other benefit in the future. These scams often involve promises of easy money, lucrative business opportunities, or valuable rewards, but they ultimately result in financial losses for the victims. The Fifth Avenue beggar scam is a scam that targets unsuspecting pedestrians in crowded areas, particularly in major cities like New York City. The scammers pretend to be beggars or homeless people, often with emotional stories designed to create sympathy and compassion. These scammers may claim to be hungry or in desperate need of money for food, shelter, or medical expenses. They use crutches, wheelchairs, or other things to give their stories an emotional touch and get donations from sympathetic individuals. However, in many cases, the beggars involved in the Fifth Avenue beggar scam are not actually in need, and the stories they tell are fabricated to manipulate unsuspecting donors. Some may even be part of organized groups or networks that coordinate their activities and share in the profits generated from the scam. The Trump University scam refers to a controversial real estate training program founded by Donald Trump in 2005. Trump University marketed itself as a provider of high-quality real estate education and mentorship, promising students the opportunity to learn Trump's real estate investing strategies and techniques. However, Trump University quickly became the subject of numerous lawsuits and allegations of fraud. The program was accused of using misleading marketing tactics to get students into expensive seminars and courses that provided little to no real value. Many former students said that they were pressured into purchasing more courses or mentorship programs, often at high costs, with promises of achieving success in real estate. In 2010, the New York State Attorney General's office filed a lawsuit against Trump University, saying that it engaged in illegal business practices and defrauded students out of millions of dollars. Similar lawsuits were filed by former students in other states, leading to a lot of legal battles and negative publicity for the program. In 2016, just before Donald Trump was elected president, he agreed to settle lawsuits related to Trump University for $25 million. As part of the settlement, Trump did not admit to any wrongdoing but agreed to compensate former students who had been deceived by the program. The Find the Lady scam, also known as the three-card Monty, is a classic street con game that has been around for centuries. In this scam, the con artist typically uses 3 playing cards or similar items, such as shells or bottle caps, with one card being a queen or another high-value card. The con artist then shuffles the cards around quickly, often using sleight-of-hand techniques to manipulate the cards, making it seem like a simple game of chance where the victim has to guess which card is the queen. The scammer usually employs people in the crowd who pretend to be ordinary bystanders and win money by correctly guessing the location of the queen. This creates the illusion that the game is winnable and entices unsuspecting victims to bet money. However, when a real person decides to play and places their bet, the dealer switches the cards quickly, palms the queen, or uses distractions. The Charles Ingram scandal refers to an incident that occurred on the British game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in 2001. Charles Ingram, a former British Army major, participated as a contestant on the show and won the $1 million jackpot. Suspicions arose that he had cheated to win the prize. During the episode in question, it was alleged that Ingram had an accomplice, Tequin Whittock, who was sitting in the audience. Whittock would cough to indicate the correct answer to the multiple-choice questions posed to Ingram.
I think it was Holbein.
The pattern of coughing allegedly helped Ingram select the correct answers and progress through the game. The scam came to light after suspicions were raised by the production team and viewers, who noticed the unusual coughing pattern. An investigation ensued, and both Ingram and Whittock were charged with procuring the execution of a valuable security by deception. They were convicted in 2003, and Ingram was given a suspended prison sentence, fined, and ordered to pay court costs. Whittock was also convicted and received a suspended sentence. Crowdfunding platforms like Gofundme and Kickstarter have become popular for people and organizations to raise funds for a wide range of causes and projects. However, alongside legitimate campaigns aimed at supporting genuine needs or innovative ideas, there have been instances of scams that exploit the goodwill of donors and backers. Scammers create stories or causes, often using stock photos or stolen images to lend credibility to their deceit. They may claim to be raising funds for personal emergencies, medical expenses, or charitable causes that do not actually exist. In addition to fake campaigns, crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter have challenges with creators failing to deliver on promised products. This can happen due to a variety of reasons, including incompetence, mismanagement, or outright fraud. The Lit Mobile scam involved the company Lit Mobile LLC, which offered portable chargers and other electronic accessories. The company faced allegations of engaging in deceptive advertising practices, including false claims about the capacity and performance of its products. Customers reported receiving products that did not match the advertised product, or that failed to function as promised. Lit Mobile faced a lot of complaints and legal actions from customers, leading to negative publicity. Now we are already pretty deep at Tier 3. Starting with hot singles in your area, I think we've all have heard of this scam at least once because it's so common. This scam is a type of online scam where people get emails or pop-up advertisements claiming to offer links to meet attractive singles in their local area. These messages often use tempting language to grab the victim's attention. When someone clicks on the links provided, they will be directed to websites that require them to provide personal information such as their email address, phone number, or credit card details. Sometimes these websites also contain malware or attempt to trick users into signing up for expensive subscription services. In reality, the hot singles advertised are often fake profiles created by scammers to steal your money. The Crystal Skulls scam is a scheme that is about the sale or promotion of crystal skulls as mystical or supernatural objects with allegedly healing powers or ancient origins. These crystal skulls are often marketed as being made from precious gemstones or possessing special properties that can bring luck, health, or spiritual strength to the owner. Scammers claim that these crystal skulls are ancient artifacts, often associated with mystical civilizations such as the Maya or Aztec cultures. In many cases, they also use false scientific and false historical explanations to give their statements more credibility. Victims of this scam are typically persuaded to purchase these crystal skulls at inflated prices under the false pretense that they are investing in something of significant historical or spiritual value. In reality, the crystal skulls are often mass-produced, low-quality items that have no genuine historical significance or special powers. The Fire Festival was a highly publicized event that turned out to be a huge scam. Marketed as a luxurious music festival set in the Bahamas, Fire Festival was promoted by social media influencers and celebrities as a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring top-tier musical performances, gourmet food, and extravagant accommodations. When the people arrived at the festival site in April 2017, they were met with a scene far from what was advertised. Instead of luxury villas and gourmet cuisine, they found disaster relief tents and poor and small food options. The festival was a logistical failure, with reports of canceled performances, lack of security, and overall chaos. It became apparent that the organizers, led by entrepreneur Billy McFarland and rapper Ja Rule, had grossly misrepresented the event's offerings and failed to adequately plan and execute the festival. Attendees paid thousands of dollars for tickets and travel packages. The Black Sox Scandal was an incident in American baseball history that occurred during the 1919 World Series. It involved members of the Chicago White Sox conspiring with gamblers to intentionally lose the series against the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for money. The players involved were accused of accepting bribes to throw the games, damaging the reputation of the sport. As a result of the scandal, 8 players, including star outfielder Shoeless Joe Jackson, were banned from baseball for life. This is a scheme involving the virtual real estate platform Earth 2. Earth 2 is a virtual world where users can buy, sell, and trade virtual land based on real-world locations using a digital currency called Earth tokens. The concept got a lot of attention, particularly during the height of the cryptocurrency and NFT boom, as users saw the potential for investment and making a profit. However, concerns were raised about the legitimacy of the project, with some users claiming that the platform misrepresented the value of virtual land and engaged in deceptive marketing practices. There were allegations of artificially increasing land prices, lack of transparency regarding the project's development, and issues with withdrawing funds from the platform. While Earth 2 attracted a significant following and generated considerable interest, it also got a lot of criticism and skepticism from many people. This one is also known as the black money scam. It is a type of advance fee fraud that has been around for decades. It typically involves a scammer claiming to have a large sum of money that is coated with a black substance to prevent detection, usually in the millions of dollars. The scammer then approaches the victim with an offer to share this money in exchange for assistance in removing the black coating, which they claim requires special chemicals or processes. In reality, there is no black money, and the scammer is simply trying to trick the victim into paying fees or providing personal information. Once the victim pays the requested fees or provides personal information, the scammer disappears, leaving the victim empty-handed and often facing financial loss. Victor Lustig was a con artist who is best known for committing what is often referred to as the sale of the Eiffel Tower scam in the early 20th century. In 1925, Lustig posed as a government official and convinced scrap metal dealers in Paris that the Eiffel Tower was scheduled to be demolished due to high maintenance costs. He offered them the opportunity to buy it for scrap metal. Lustig managed to get a big amount of money from one of the dealers before fleeing the city. Remarkably, even after the scam was discovered, Lustig was never caught. He was also involved in various other confidence schemes, including counterfeit money operations and selling money printing machines. This one is about a scientific controversy surrounding claims made by physicist Victor Ninoff in 1999 regarding the discovery of element 118, then called ununoctium. Ninoff reported evidence for the creation of this element in a paper published in the journal Physical Review Letters. However, people doubted the validity of Ninoff's claims when other scientists attempted to replicate his results and found inconsistencies. Investigations revealed irregularities in data recording and analysis. The element's discovery was not confirmed, and Ninoff's reputation suffered. The Jamaican Lottery scam is a scheme where scammers target individuals, primarily elderly people, typically in the United States, Canada, and other countries, falsely informing them that they have won a lottery. The scammers often use various tactics, such as phone calls, emails, or letters, to convince their victims that they have won a substantial prize. Once the victim believes they have won, the scammers typically request payment of fees or taxes to claim the supposed prize. Victims are often instructed to send money through wire transfers, prepaid cards, or other methods that are difficult to trace. However, despite sending money, the winner never receives the money. The creators of Cryptoland aimed to make a paradise for cryptocurrency enthusiasts on an island in Fiji. They promoted the project through an animated video featuring a talking coin named Connie, welcoming visitors to Cryptoland. The video was about a luxurious island setting with references to cryptocurrencies and NFTs, aiming to create a nice destination for the crypto community. The project had a lot of criticism when it was revealed that the purchase of the island for the proposed resort had fallen through. Despite announcing a deal to buy an island for around $12 million, it was later reported that the island remained on the market, and the reservation period had expired. The project's organizers faced accusations of fraud, with some drawing parallels between Cryptoland and the Fire Festival. Neither the people who bought their NFTs nor people who supported their projects got their money back. We are getting deeper into more unknown scams. The Hair Raiser video game scam was a game created by Dougald Thompson and John Gard in 1984. It was inspired by the success of Christopher Kit Williams' book, Masquerade, which contained encrypted clues leading to a golden hair treasure. Thompson and Gard founded Hairsoft and marketed the Hair Raiser game as a family-friendly adventure with an encrypted guide to finding a golden treasure worth $30,000, which was the same golden necklace featured in Williams' book. The game was promoted heavily, claiming to offer an exciting treasure hunt experience. However, the reality was far from what was promised. Hair Raiser turned out to be a subpar game, featuring only a single static screen of a green field with minimal interactivity. Players could move in different directions, but they would always end up back on the same screen. There were vague sentences displayed, and occasionally a hair would appear and disappear without explanation. The game lacked any meaningful gameplay or clues to the supposed treasure. Hair Raiser was split into two parts, forcing players to purchase both to access the full game and alleged treasure clues. Despite its huge price, the game offered no value to players. Hairsoft went bankrupt, and the only valuable asset left was the golden hair necklace, which was sold at auction for $31,900. Blessing circles, also known as blessing looms, are pyramid schemes disguised as community support or financial assistance groups. The basic principle consists of participants paying money to join a circle with the promise of receiving a larger sum of money once they recruit others to join. Each participant is typically encouraged to recruit a certain number of new members, who in turn must recruit others, creating a pyramid structure. In this scam, website owners or managers reach out to each other and propose a mutual exchange of links between their sites. The intention behind this seemingly innocent process is often to manipulate search engine rankings. Both parties agree to place links to each other's sites on their web pages to boost their site's search engine optimization. However, the effectiveness of this strategy has decreased over time due to search engine algorithms becoming more advanced in detecting such schemes. Doing link swaps can lead to a decrease in search rankings or even removal from search results altogether. Link swap scams can also damage a website's credibility and reputation, as they also result in a poor user experience. Bling H2O is luxury bottled water, which gained attention for its big price tag and extravagant packaging. Bling H2O was promoted as a premium product with Swarovski crystals and packaged in uniquely designed bottles. The scam aspect of Bling H2O comes from the false claimed value of the product. While the water itself is not different from other bottled waters in terms of quality or purity, its pricing was inflated to reflect its branding and packaging. Critics argued that consumers were essentially paying for the perceived exclusivity and luxury associated with the brand, rather than any tangible benefits of the water itself. Additionally, some viewed the marketing tactics employed by Bling H2O as elusive and exploitative, as they targeted consumers' desire for status and luxury without delivering real value. Here, groups exploit religious beliefs and trust to increase their own value. These scams often involve making false claims about the ability to heal issues through spiritual means like prayer or laying on of hands. Victims are asked to make financial contributions or purchase special items like blessed oils or holy water in exchange for promised healing. These contributions can continue over time. In most cases, scammers target vulnerable individuals who are desperate for healing or facing serious health issues, manipulating their emotions and offering false hope as a means of control. In some cases, victims are discouraged or forbidden from seeking medical treatment, leading to potentially dangerous consequences. The Schon Scandal is a scheme created by Barry Minkow and his company ZZZZ's Best in the 1980s. Minkow founded ZZZZ's Best as a carpet cleaning business in his teenage years, but later expanded it into a multi-million-dollar company offering fire and water restoration services. However, much of the company's success was built on lies. Minkow and his team increased customers, inflated revenues, and created fake documents to get investors and banks into believing ZZZZ Best was a really good working business. The scheme unraveled when investors began to question the legitimacy of the company's operations, leading to investigations by law enforcement and financial regulators. In 1987, Minkow was arrested and ZZZ's Best filed for bankruptcy. Minkow was eventually convicted of a lot of charges, including securities fraud and money laundering, and sentenced to prison. Wash trading is a fraudulent practice that is pretty common in financial markets, particularly in trading securities, commodities, or cryptocurrencies. In wash trading, a trader simultaneously sells and buys the same financial instrument to create artificial activity in the market. This activity can deceive other investors by creating the illusion of increased trading volume or demand for the asset. The primary purpose of wash trading is often to manipulate the market price of the asset. By creating false trading activity, the scammers can attract other investors and potentially get the price up or down to their advantage. Now we are already at Tier 5, getting to larger types of scams. The Alves Dos Reis scam is also known as the Portuguese banknote crisis. It took place in Portugal in the early 1920s. It was created by Artur Virgílio Alves Dos Reis, a Portuguese criminal who managed to manipulate the country's banking system to print and circulate counterfeit currency. Alves Dos Reis, together with a group of friends, managed to print large quantities of forged Portuguese banknotes. To give credibility to the counterfeit money, he also managed to gain access to official printing plates and paper through bribery and deception. With these resources, he printed millions of escudos, the Portuguese currency at the time. The scam reached its peak in 1925 when Alves Dos Reis attempted to exchange counterfeit money for legitimate currency at several Portuguese banks. The scheme was initially successful, as the counterfeit notes were difficult to distinguish from genuine ones. However, people became suspicious about the money and the authorities began investigating. Eventually, Alves Dos Reis's fraudulent activities were exposed, leading to his arrest and the collapse of several banks involved in the scheme. The South Sea Bubble was one of the most well-known financial scams in history, which took place in England during the early 18th century. It was named after the South Sea Company, a British trading company that was granted a monopoly on trade with South America, particularly with Spanish colonies. In 1711, the South Sea Company was founded with the purpose of reducing the national debt of England. It offered a proposition to holders of government debt. They could exchange their debt for shares in the company. The company promised significant returns from trading opportunities in South America, particularly in the lucrative slave trade. Investors were excited by the promises of immense profits, and the value of South Sea Company stock rose to astronomical levels. People from all parts of life, including members of the nobility and common citizens, invested heavily in the company's shares, often leveraging themselves to do so. However, the South Sea Company's operations were not as profitable as promised, and much of the trade it engaged in was speculative and unsuccessful. Despite this, the company continued to issue new shares, driving the stock price even higher. In 1720, the bubble burst when it became clear that the South Sea Company's operations were unsustainable and its profits were inflated. Panic ensued, and the stock price went almost to zero, wiping out the fortunes of countless investors. This is a case of deception involving the 11th September 2001 terrorist attacks in the United States. Alicia Esteve Head, who went by the name Tanya Head, claimed to be a survivor of the attacks on the World Trade Center's South Tower. Tanya Head became widely known for her vivid accounts of surviving the 9/11 attacks. She claimed to have been on the 78th floor of the South Tower when the plane struck, and she narrated her dramatic escape, including being rescued by a man known as Wells Crowther, who became known as the Man in the Red Bandana. Head became a prominent figure in the 9/11 survivor community, serving as president of the World Trade Center Survivors Network and participating in various events and interviews where she shared her story. However, in 2007, it was revealed that her entire story was fabricated. Investigations uncovered that Tanya Head was not present at the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, and she had never worked for the financial firm where she claimed to have been employed. Here, scammers attempt to convince victims to purchase the iconic Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. While the Golden Gate Bridge is a huge landmark and an engineering marvel, it is not privately owned, and of course, cannot be sold. The scam typically involves the scammer claiming to be an official or representative with authority to sell the bridge. They often present forged documents, fake titles, or stories to make their offer seem legitimate. They then target people or groups who may be unaware of the bridge's ownership status. The most famous example of this scam reportedly occurred in the 1930s when a con artist named George C. Parker repeatedly convinced people that he was authorized to sell famous landmarks, including the Brooklyn Bridge and the Statue of Liberty. While Parker never actually sold these landmarks, he managed to scam several victims for $75 to $50,000. This was one of the biggest scams in the world of journalism and historical research. In the early 1980s, a German magazine called Stern claimed to have acquired a collection of handwritten diaries purportedly written by Adolf himself. The diaries covered a wide range of topics, including his personal thoughts, military strategies, and political maneuverings during World War II. Stern paid $7.8 million to buy the alleged diaries from a man called Konrad Kojau. He was a skilled forger who had fabricated numerous historical documents in the past. The magazine announced its sensational discovery and planned to serialize the diaries, generating immense public interest and media attention. However, many historians, experts, and journalists became skeptical and began to question the authenticity of the diaries. Despite initial attempts by Stern to verify their legitimacy, doubts persisted and inconsistencies in the diaries' content came up. Forensic analysis and investigations revealed that the diaries were fake. The ink, paper, and handwriting did not match the materials and style used during his lifetime. The revelation of the diaries as a scam was a huge embarrassment for Stern and the journalists involved in the story. It also raised questions about the ethics and standards of investigative journalism. Now we are already at Tier 6. Back in 2021, 3 years ago, a Reddit user named Island Auneralt asked for donations over PayPal for the Reddit Island. The Reddit Island was a concept with many Redditors involved discussing the possibility of purchasing or leasing an island and establishing a community based on shared values and interests. However, it turned out that he promised an intangible citizenship, had no plan for funds use, and did not specify the donation amount required for receiving a plaque. Also, the coordinates of the island he wanted to raise the donations for and the one he had in his user profile were different. This is a pretty deep one. This case occurred in the UK in 2008. Shannon Matthews, a 9-year-old girl from Dewsbury, West Yorkshire, disappeared on her way home from school on February 19, 2008. A massive search effort was launched to find Shannon, involving the police, volunteers, and the media. The case received massive attention, and appeals for information were broadcast across the country. After 24 days, Shannon was found alive in the home of Michael Donovan, the uncle of her stepfather, Craig Meehan. It was revealed that Shannon had been drugged and hidden in Donovan's home as part of a plan made by her mother, Karen Matthews, and Donovan to stage her kidnapping and collect the reward money. The discovery of Shannon alive was met with relief, but it soon became clear that her disappearance had been created by her own family members for money. Karen Matthews and Michael Donovan were arrested and charged with a lot of offenses, including kidnapping and perverting the course of justice. I'm not going to say too much on that one as it's pretty clear. You can create your own meta-girlfriend plus an NFT, which is pretty weird. There were many cases of fraud, corruption, and schemes during this civil war. For example, some contractors took advantage of the government's need for supplies, delivering goods at inflated prices or failing to deliver altogether. Also, wealthy individuals could pay someone else to serve in their place if drafted, leading to instances of bribery, coercion, and fraudulent enlistments. There were also cases of bounty jumping. Individuals registered in the military solely to collect enlistment bounties, then deserted and registered elsewhere to collect multiple bounties. This actually shows how the war created opportunities for dishonesty and exploitation. This is a pretty weird scam. Here, counterfeit eggs are produced and sold as genuine eggs. This scam exists mainly in China and India. Fake eggs are typically made using materials such as gelatin, sodium alginate, calcium carbonate, and other chemicals to mimic the appearance, texture, and even the smell of real eggs. They are often produced and sold as a cheaper alternative to real eggs, allowing sellers to make a profit at the expense of consumers. Consuming those fake eggs can bring some serious health risks, as they can contain harmful chemicals and lack essential nutrients found in real eggs. This is a classic confidence trick that gets back centuries. The term originates from the practice of selling a poke or sack containing a pig at a market. However, Instead of a live pig, the buyer would find a worthless or inferior animal, or sometimes nothing at all, inside the sack. The scam relies on the buyer's inability to inspect the contents of the poke before purchase, often because of the seller's insistence on a quick and secretive transaction. The seller typically plays on the buyer's greed or desire for a bargain, enticing them with a low price for what appears to be a valuable item.